Hi everyone, my name is Dina, and I'm back today to show you how to make my ginger flower earrings. So down below, there is a button that you can click on to show more information that will have a list of all your supplies that you're needed to make these earrings. So gather up those supplies as well as a bead on board. Meet me back and I will show you the first step. Alright, so now that we have everything out and ready to go, I have about 2 to 3 feet or so of my dragon thread size 8 in the color green on my needle already. I'm just using a size 11 needle. You can probably use a 12 that would or a 10, I'm sorry, the bigger one. You can probably use that as well. It will probably work just fine, but sometimes we're going through some of these beads several times, so I figured an 11, maybe even a 12 would be a little bit better for you to use. So what we'll end up doing is we'll start off with doing our tubelets, and then I've got two different sizes of my, or colors, sizes, comes in one size. I have two different colors of my StormDuos. So the green is going to be the most color that I'm going to use throughout, and then the white is going to be kind of like the flower portion of it, and like it's going to look, trying to make it look like it's budding. So excuse me. All right, so we're going to start off with grabbing our tubelets and our StormDuo that we're going to use as our main color. And then we want to pick up these StormDuos in a certain fashion. So a StormDuo has, the shape of kind of like an S in some ways, and then a backwards S in other ways. So we're going to pick up this StormDuo to where it is on the, what am I going to call this? I think the inner side is the better way of saying it. So this is the side that is shaped like this, like a C in a way. And then you've got the outer side, which is going to be the side that's up at the top, where it's shaped in the opposite direction, like a backward C. So we're going to go through the first StormDuo on the inner side, on one of the holes. Doesn't matter which one at the moment. And then the next StormDuo, we're going to do the opposite. So they're basically going to be facing each other like that. The two larger sides, or outer sides, are going to be facing each other. And then we pick up another tublet, and then we do the same thing with the StormDuos again. We pick up the inner side, and then the outer side, and then do that until you have 4 sets of these beads on your needle. I'm laying them down each time just to make sure that I am going through correctly. Whoops. Before I pick up the next tublet. So once we have that all said and done, then we're going to bring this down to the bottom of our thread. And then we're simply just going to tie a knot. So I've got all this laid down. I'm laying it down one more time just to do a double check, because once you tie the knot, then you'd have to basically burn the thread and start over if you don't have it done right. So we're going to tie a knot, right over left, left over right, like this, and then I'm just going to pull tight once I've got that done, and then it comes together like this. So sometimes you already see the little bit of a diamond already being formed, which is a good thing, because that's what we're going to go through, or what we're trying to make. So to start off with the next step, we need to add our seed beads here in the center. And I am just cheating real quick to see what it is that I have done as far as my next step. So we're going to go through the tublet that is there. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit easier to see while I'm holding it in my hands, as soon as I can find my button for focusing. Alright, so we're going to go through that tublet. We're going to go ahead and go through the next 2 StormDuos also, and come out before the tublet. And then here is where we're going to add 3 of our 11 OC beads. And we're just going to round through that StormDuo one more time. Oh, as long as you don't try to throw your needle and your seed beads all over the place. So go back through that StormDuo combo, and it's going to sit a little on the edge like this, where it's kind of sitting upwards. That's perfectly fine. What we'll end up doing on this next step is forcing it more down into the center, so it's going to sit more like that. So if they're sitting upwards like that a little bit, that's okay. We'll get it fixed here in a few minutes. Then we're going to go through the next tubelet and then do the same thing on the next StormDuo side. Oops. I'm just getting caught on everything today. Dropping things. Okay, pick up your 3 seed beads and then round through your StormDuo again. So that's the first step that we're going to do. So go ahead and complete that portion of it and then meet me back, and then I'll show you how to do the inner portion of this part of the earring. Alright, so I finished adding my last of my 3 seed beads there, so I'm coming out of that StormDuo after I've rounded through it again. This is basically where we had started the previous step, and your knot should be probably right in that same area. So I will proceed through the next Tubelet bead. We're going to go through that next set of StormDuos again. We're basically just following the thread path that we just created on the previous step. So go back through those 2 StormDuos, and then we're going to move up into the seed beads that we just added. So just go through the first 2 seed beads, and then you're set up for this next step. On this step, we're going to add 2 seed beads in between each one of the peak seed beads. So each one of the second of the 3 seed beads from the previous step that we did. So we're just going to pick out that second seed bead again and just go through that one. And then we're going to continue around doing the same thing. So pick out that middle seed bead, go through that one. If this is kind of hard for you to see, you can always use different colored seed beads. On the previous step, you can use one color, then a second color, then your first color again, and that can help you pick out which color or which seed bead that you need to go through with this step if you're having issues with seeing it. That was something that I did a lot when I was learning how to bead, is I would use multiple different colors of seed beads, because sometimes my eyes would just kind of jump around and not really figure out exactly where it is that I needed to, what bead I needed to go through in order to complete the step. So I'm adding the last 2 seed beads, going back through that first of the 2 seed beads. And when you pull tight, your beads should start to look like they are forming another little diamond in the center. So to make this diamond a little bit better, we're just going to go back through the 2 seed beads that we just added. And then this kind of just reinforces it a little bit. This is a step you don't have to do if you don't want to, but I did it and made it look a little bit more like a diamond. I'm skipping that middle seed bead that we added through on this last round, and I'm going just through the 2 seed beads that we added just now. And that kind of helps it sit more like a point. So I'm skipping that middle bead, and I'm going through the next 2 seed beads. Again, if this is getting confusing, using different colored seed beads will help you in knowing which beads that I'm actually talking about. So these are the last 2 seed beads. And then this one we haven't skipped yet, so we need to go back through that first 2 seed beads that we added on this previous step. So we're going to go back through that real quick. And then that is your diamond already set up. So I'm going to get you set up for the next portion, and then I will pause and let you get caught up, and we'll meet you back and work on the next part. So to start the next portion, we're just going to go through seed bead number 2 and 3 from the 3 seed beads that we added when we wrapped around the StormDuos. We're going through seed bead 2 and 3. You can go in one of 2 different directions. You can go straight through the two StormDuos again, or sometimes if you have to, depending on what type, what size needle that you're using, it may be getting a little tight in certain areas. If that's the case, you can go through the Tubelet bead that's sitting here onto the right, and then work your way down to the StormDuos over here. Whichever way is going to work better for you, just so you don't break any beads or anything like that. But I'm going to go ahead and go through the two StormDuos again, and then that gets us set up for the next section. So go ahead and get through that part, and I will meet you back in just a second, and I'll show you the next part. All right, so now we're set up to start the next part. So with me, I'm coming out of the StormDuo right next to the knot again. What we're going to do now is we're going to add in our other color of StormDuos on some of these. To do that, we're going to add 3 of our 11-Os. We're coming out of that bottom hole of the StormDuo. We're going to go through the top hole of that same StormDuo. One thing I forgot to mention at the very beginning, you want to make sure all your holes in your StormDuos, because they are multiple holed beads, you want to make sure that all your holes are open, which I think I did this back when I got all this together. So hopefully they're open. If they're not, we'll figure out how to get them open if they're not. So excuse me. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up 2 of our StormDuos again, and this is going to be in the opposite direction. I'm looking at my sample, making sure I'm saying this right. So these 2 are going to be in the opposite direction. Remember how they were facing each other with the needle? They were facing each other, hugging each other last time. Now they're facing each other. So we're going through the larger side on the first one, and then going through the smaller side on the second one. When you've got those 2 on your needle, then we're going to go straight through the StormDuo, the green one, on the project. And then that puts your StormDuos together to make it look almost like a tulip. To finish out this portion, then we're going to add 3 more seed beads. Coming out of that top hole of the green StormDuo, we're going to go through the bottom hole of the green of that same StormDuo. And like I said, there's a lot of thread going through some of these beads, so you just have to be careful, take your time with it, wiggle your needle through, don't force it, because that could break some beads sometimes. Alright, so then that's how the peak is supposed to look like. Now this portion here that we just did is going to be the same as it will be down here on the bottom. So I'm going to get you to the one that we're going to do on the left, and then the left side is going to be the same that we're going to do on the peak, or on this corner on the right side. So to get you to the left side, we're going to go through that Tubelet again. We're going to wrap through the 2 StormDuos to get set up to add the beads on this side. Then the beads on this side, we're going to add our 3 seed beads. We're going to go through, we're coming out of that bottom hole of the StormDuo, go through the top of the next hole, or that same hole, the top of the same bead. Then we're going to pick up 3 more seed beads. We're coming out of the left StormDuo. We're going to go through the top hole of the right StormDuo. And then those 3 guys just hang out there for this time. We'll come back and add some more detail to it in the next round. So then 3 more seed beads. Coming out of the top hole of that one StormDuo, we're going to go through the bottom hole of the same StormDuo. And go ahead and proceed through the other StormDuo, if you can go ahead and get to it. So that's what you do. So your top and your bottom are going to look the same, and then your left and your right will look the same. So get that portion completed. Meet me back and I'll show you that next step. Okay, so now we are done with that previous step, and we are coming out of the StormDuo, the second StormDuo, when you wrapped around adding all your seed beads here. So for the next step, we're going to just proceed through the 3 seed beads that we put on the side of the StormDuo. Go through the StormDuo, the top hole of that StormDuo that's there, the green one. And then proceed through the first 2 seed beads that we added in between the 2 StormDuos. We're just going to add a little picot design or a right angle weave design. It's basically the same type of thing. So we're going to add 3 more seed beads. We're coming out of that middle seed bead there in between the 3, or the middle seed bead in between the 2 seed StormDuos. And then we're going to round through that same seed bead. That way, when it's done, it makes a little picot design, or a little raw unit. So to continue on down to the other side, or the next portion, we're going to go through the last seed bead in between the StormDuo, and then my needle went through the StormDuo itself, and then through that first of the 3 seed beads on the side, which is fine because that's where we need to go. Continue through the other 2 seed beads that are on the side. And here's where I'm going to go ahead and skip the StormDuos. I'm going to go straight into the Tubelet that's down here. So now we're going in an opposite direction. We were beading in one direction and counterclockwise. Now we're beading in clockwise direction. So I'm going through that Tubelet. I'm going to go ahead and flip this so it's a little bit easier to explain. So I'm coming out of that Tubelet. We're going to come through the 3 seed beads here on the left of that green StormDuo. And then we're going to add some more seed beads to get to the top hole of the cream StormDuo. And that is, I believe, 3 more. Nope, that one is actually 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, we're adding 4 seed beads along the side here when we're coming out of the seed bead right next to the green StormDuo. To get to the hole up here at the top of the white one, we need to add 4 seed beads. So we're going to add 4 of those. And then in between those 2 seed beads, we add, I think it's 3. Yeah, 3. We add 3 seed beads in between the 2 cream StormDuos. And then add your 4 on the other side to get down to the 3 seed beads on the right side of the green StormDuo. And here again, just go straight through the Tubelet, so that way we don't get too many passes of thread through those StormDuos. Sometimes they get a little tight, and I don't want anybody to break their beads. So now you're set up to do the same thing on this side one as we did on the very first over here, and then you're set up to do the same thing down here with what we just finished up here at the top. So go ahead and complete this part of it, and then meet me back and I will show you the ending part. Alright, so on to the last step. So we should be coming out of the 3rd seed bead here on the right hand side of the green StormDuo. What I'm going to do on this step is basically reinforce all the beads that we just added on this last step. And in the process, when I get back down over here, which is actually going to be the top of my earring, then we're going to add our wire guard right away. So that way we can get that on there. And then when we get back up here to the top, I'm going to circle around these beads because that's where my starter thread is at. So I'm coming out of that 1 seed bead there, that last seed bead. I'm just going to go through the Tubelet and then go through the 3 seed beads on the right. And this is just to kind of make it a little bit more sturdy, because sometimes your beads that you add sometimes will be a little floppy on the edges, and sometimes you just need an extra pass of thread through it. So it's really not something that you absolutely have to do. I just prefer to do it. Just something I prefer to do. So I'm passing through the 2 seed beads, the first 2. I'm going to go through the right angle unit that I created on the last step to reinforce that a little bit. And even if you wanted to on that previous step, you can go through the right angle weave twice, like create the right angle weave and then go back through the beads right away. So you don't have to do this portion. And then proceed back through that same second bead, through the third one, the StormDuo, and through the 3 on the side. Whoa, getting a little tight there. I'm just getting down to the part that I'm going to put my wire guard on so I can show you how to do that. And then I'll let you finish it off in the way that you would like to finish it off. So going through the Tubelet now. Alright, I'm going to flip this over so this is up towards the top now. And then we're going to go through the 7 seed beads here on the left. Oops, and I hit my camera. Sorry about that. My camera's in a different position than what it's been in recently. I'm trying out a different way of recording. So hopefully this is a little bit better of a recording for people. And then I'm going to go through the StormDuo that's sitting there. Oops. Maybe. There we go. Come through the first 2 seed beads that are in between the 2 cream StormDuos. This is where we're going to add our wire guard. So with your wire guard, that's not in focus again. Okay, that's better. With your wire guard, you've got the 2 channels. You want to go up one side of it. And then I usually just pull it down to what I'm working on so I can hold a little bit better. And then go down the other side of it. I pinch my wire guard, not hard, just put it in between your 2 fingers here. And when you do that and you pull on the thread, it helps to guide the thread in the upper part of the channel of the wire guard. So with that being the case, and this one being, I'm using 11-0, I do this, you don't have to do this, but I pinch the end of the wire guard to make it a little bit smaller. And to me, that just makes it look better with an 11-0, but that's completely up to you as well. Then you just go straight through the other bead, or that same second bead that's sitting there. And then you proceed down to that next 11-0 through the StormDuo, and so on and so forth. You probably actually want to do 2 rounds of that. I only just did 1, but you probably want to go back through your wire guard one more time, just put an extra thread, passive thread in there. I'll do that off camera because that's something you don't have to actually watch me do. So to add your earring, after you get everything reinforced, go back through everything one more time like I had said at the very beginning, and you get everything reinforced and all, you want to add your earring. So to add your earring, I chose just a simple little ear wire here. To open the ear wire, you want to just twist it open like this. So it's twisted open, and then you just slide it on. If it doesn't fit this way, like with me pinching the wire guard, it doesn't fit that way, you just drop it in the hole, and then it flips around a couple of times, and then your earring is attached to the ear wire, and then you twist it closed again. So then now your earring is complete. So after I get everything tied off, I'll show you what the earrings look like. Alright, so we're done with our earrings, and that's the way they turned it out. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button down below, as well as the subscribe button, so that way you'll get notifications of when Potomac Beads comes out with another new video. Also, don't forget to post pictures in their Facebook page, so that way we can see different colorways that you come up with for your ginger earrings. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for the next video because I know it's going to be a good one.